Hello viewers, presently you are watching my series on the history of British drama. In the previous couple of videos, you have seen mystery and miracle plays, followed by the morality plays. Now in this video, I would like to talk in general about interludes. The interludes also play an important stage in the entire development of English drama. In other words, we can say the interludes represents the next important stage in the development of drama. As I said just before, that I have been talking about the history of British drama. And when you are talking about the history, you need to start right from the mystery plays, miracle plays, morality plays, and then subsequently you have one more important stage, that is interludes. The term interlude is generally used for the drama before the beginning of English tragedy with Gobota. Probably you all know about the first English tragedy titled as Gobota. Actually, interludes refer to a short play, or else you can call it a kind of representation between the parts of a larger stage production. As a matter of fact, it is a piece of music performed between the acts of a theatrical production. You can also call it a short play within a play, but it is generally found over there only in the case of a larger theatrical production. But there are a few interludes which are the full-length plays. You have an example in this respect. Ralph Royster Doyster is one such example which has a full length, just like William Shakespeare's any full length play like Macbeth, King Lear, Othello, Hamlet, and so on and so on. Similarly, you have one more remarkable interlude titled as The Four Ps, written by John Haywood. And if you go through these interludes, like Ralph Doister, The Four Ps, you will find that those days, the themes of the interludes were philosophy, farcical situations, science, and even the stories which were derived from the mysteries. In England, you have the play like Robin Hood, which were very much popular and famous among the Britishers. And all over the Europe, you have the interludes with simple plot, structure, and the thematic lines were performed at various social functions. The concept like secular dramas were also usually performed in the winter and were mostly associated with the schools, colleges, universities, and nobility who would have the resources, time, space, infrastructure in order to organize such kind of plays. In the early 16th century, if you turn the pages of the history, you will find that the morality in its turn was largely superseded by another sort of play called the interlude. But just as in the case of the mystery and the morality plays, the interlude developed out of the morality, and the two cannot always be distinguished. Some single play being destined, described by the authors, some single play being distinctly described by the authors as moral interlude. In the interludes, the realism of the moralities became still more pronounced, so that the typical interlude is nothing more than a coarse farce with no pretense at religious or ethical meaning. To get into the finer details, the name interlude denotes literally as a play between. But the meaning intended between whom or what is actually uncertain. The interludes were given sometimes in the halls of the aristocrats, nobles, gentlemen, either when banquets were in progress or on the other festival occasions, sometimes even before, the select audience in the town halls or on the village greens. So this sort of change you could notice as far as the development of British drama is concerned. During that time, the actors were sometimes strolling companies of players who might be minstrels or rustics, and were sometimes also the retainers of the great nobles. They were allowed to practice their dramatic ability on tours about the country when they were not needed for their master's entertainment. In the interlude, and when you put it together with the moralities and the interludes separately, first appears the wise, B-I-C, a rogue who sums up in himself all the vices of the older moralities and serves as the buffoon. So this is one of the very important interludes, I would say. Sometimes interlude is also considered to be the transition between medieval morality plays and the Tudor dramas. See, this difference also you need to understand. It is considered as a transition. What sort of transition in between? This is the transition in between the morality plays and the Tudor dramas. Interludes were performed even at courts or at the great houses by the professional minstrels or amateurs at intervals between some other entertainment, such as a banquet or a proceeding or following a play or between the acts of the play. It depends on the situation. Although most interludes were sketches of a non-religious nature. Some plays were called interludes that are today classed as morality plays. You have John Haywood, who was born in 1497 and died in 1580. He was one of the most famous interlude writers of the time. He brought the jar of writing interludes to perfection in the plays like The Play of the Weather, staged in 1533, and the play called 4PP, staged in 1544. So these are some of the very important interludes that we find in the history of British drama. If you turn the pages of the history, you will find that interludes have played an important role and stage in the development of English drama. It may be a very short discussion on this topic. It seems to be a short period, no doubt, but it has immensely contributed in the process of the development of British drama.